Today we have Lisa, who is showing us a new method how to do anything about trauma. I just let you take it from here, Lisa.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm going fast. This is basically this practice is really finding limiting beliefs, because behind everything is always limiting beliefs. And this coaching system, what I do, we're always looking what is the limiting belief behind and everything what's happening. So this information, if you practice this for about 30 days, it can transform your life. And this is not, hopefully this is not another presentation, but you can take it for your life and you can take it maybe for your coaching. I think Roseanne already knows it. Roseanne has seen this. I did that with the self-care is not selfish. So the title of my presentation is, I'm sorry, I have a really bad voice. One second. The title is Your Beliefs Dictate Your Destiny. And this is not just a saying, it is how we are designed, and this is how human being operating system works. So early on, when we were very young and we were not fully conscious, and the time we mostly no longer remember, we had all kinds of experiences in our life. And from those experiences, we created a meaning from them, either good or bad, could be either way. And even if we had a good childhood, and all of us have memories of being overlooked and misunderstood, and often these memories are repressed and forgotten, but they are present in our daily lives and in our relationships. Or maybe you heard your parents talk about money, and then you created the belief that money is hard to make. Or maybe you were out with kids outside somewhere playing, and the other kids didn't invite you to play with them, and you made a meaning of it that you are not good enough, or somehow they don't like you. And you've been living through this lens over and over again. Mm-hmm. And we are often consumed with these thoughts that don't feel good. And this is the voice in our head. And this is 5 primary drivers. So the way we function is that as a human beings, is that whatever we believe, for example, money is hard to make, or relationships are hard, or there's not enough time, or I'm not good enough, these core foundational beliefs that we developed at very early age dictate what we think on a moment-by-moment basis. Also, what we think is always directly aligned what we believe. So, for example, if you believe that you are not good enough, and if you're sitting in front of your computer and you're trying to send some emails or proposals, you're going to have a self-critical thoughts that are connected to this idea that I am not good enough, or maybe these emails are not written good enough. Everything will be driven by the core belief, which is I am not good enough. So your beliefs dictate your thoughts, and whenever you have a thought, wherever you have a thought, you also have a feeling associated with it. So if you believe you are not good enough, you start experiencing emotions like you might feel frustration, you might feel rejection, and you feel not good enough. And even though there's nothing going on in your external environment, and your feelings motivate action or inaction. So here you are sitting in your front of computer and you're feeling rejected and you're feeling not good enough. And you're not knowing how to write those emails. And do you think you're gonna write those emails? Most of the time, no, you are going to avoid them. You're going to take some kind of weak action or busy action, which do not produce the results that you want. So now your results reinforce your beliefs that you made early on in your life when you were young or maybe even younger. And you have a lot of evidence for that. So it's important to realize that the only reason you have so much evidence for your beliefs is because you've been caught up with these 5 primary drivers. So this is the 5 primary drivers. So here we have another slide for it. So what you believe is exactly how you're going to think. And what you think determines how you feel. And how you feel determines the action or inaction you take. Your actions produce the results in your life. Your results reinforce your beliefs. And it is just keeps going and going, reinforcing itself over and over. And it started from your beliefs from very early on in your life. And we call this a cybernetic loop. And there's a whole book about cybernetic loop. And this is the way we have been experiencing life. But in reality, they are just thoughts. So these unconscious beliefs that we often experience and we are not aware of drain our energy and create this inner conflict in our life. For example, I think I have experienced this many times. I have a great idea, but then I will have a second thought that I can't do it well, I'm not good enough, it's not going to work. This is the inner conflict that puts us in a resourceless state, and we often give up. And everybody has different way of dealing with this negative emotions, or we call them suffering states. Maybe you sit in front of your computer and drifting and looking out the window in an overwhelming anxiety, or maybe you reorganize your desk, or maybe you scroll over your Facebook, or maybe you have a third cup of coffee. But whatever it is, it's not certainly what your idea was. And lots of people experience this in the conflict, and they really can't fulfill what we wanted to fulfill. So I have a couple slides of the most common limiting beliefs. So pick up maybe one or two that you frequently hear yourself saying to yourself. And the limiting beliefs is the one that triggers the strongest emotional response. Like you feel that charge in you. And if you don't find anything here, then you can write down in your own words on a paper. So if you have a note paper, write down which one you pick, because we work on it a little bit later. So I have two slides, so I'll let you look this for 1 minute, and don't overthink. Just pick whatever just feels this pain in you. Usually it doesn't feel good. Limiting belief never feels good. So can I change for the next slide already, you think? Here's the next slide. There's a lot. Just pick up just one or two, or maybe just one. If you have enough time to look at it. Yeah?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, so let me, can I continue now? Okay, so if our limiting beliefs dictate our destiny and all the results that we are able to produce in our life, if they dictate everything in our life, if they are preventing us producing the results we want in our life, the logical question is, how can we change our beliefs? Many people talk about limiting beliefs, but the challenge is that no one ever taught us how to change them permanently. Because the limiting beliefs, you can't really touch them. They're just belief. They're like a clouds. How can you change something that you know doesn't serve you well, but you have been believing so long, and you have so much evidence on it because you are in the cybernetic loop? So there's a powerful and profound new discovery, and this is the good news. And it makes all the difference when you are trying to change these limiting beliefs. And that is keeping you stuck. And it's a very important 2-millimeter distinction that beliefs are decisions. And I repeat, beliefs are decisions. So the beauty of this, that the beliefs are decision, is that while we don't know how to change our beliefs, we know how to make new decisions. We all have made hundreds of thousands of decisions in our lives. Like if we didn't like our job, we changed for the new one. Or if we didn't like the city we live, we moved to a new one, like Hilda just did. And we all have made so many new decisions. So we know how to make decisions. So when we start looking at the beliefs as decisions, we can take our power back. And that is how we operate as human beings. And this is what we call power of decisions. So if you believe early on that you are not good enough, it is not just that you believe you are not good enough, you decided you're not good enough. Or you just didn't believe that money is hard to make, you decided that money is hard to make. And these decisions have been dictating your destiny. So now we can take our power back by making new empowering decisions. For example, you can decide that money is easy to make and you don't know how and you don't know when, but money flows to you in many infinite number of places. So you can make any decisions. The key is simply that you give yourself a permission to make new decisions about your limiting beliefs. And if you can do that, everything in your life starts changing pretty rapidly. And what I've seen in my own coaching, that the biggest issue is that we don't give ourselves permission to make new decisions because we have so much resistance. But I want to explain a little bit more. So when you make a new decision, 3 incredible things happen. So the first incredible thing that happens is that you begin to attract new thoughts and ideas that are in alignment with your new decision. So the new decision activates an immediate brain change. You start become the person you need to be for that new decision. So that's number 1. Number 2, the second incredible thing that happens, that new decision changes your perception. You begin to pay attention to people and opportunities that are in alignment with your new decision. So our brain allows only 10% of the information at one time because there's so much going on. So we never can concentrate on everything. And the information that our brain allows in is always aligned with your belief. So for example, if you have bought a new car and then you start seeing that car everywhere, that is the part of the brain called the reticular activating system, and it determines what you pay attention to. So when you make a new decision, you'll start noticing things that has always been there, but you have been filtering out because they were not important for you. Because the brain only pays attention for those things which are important for us or what we have decided. And the third incredible thing happened with your new decision is that it starts to manufacture synchronicities and coincidences in your life that are in alignment with your new decision. If you decided that money is easy to make, and all of a sudden you bring a new unexpected opportunities to your life, or you decide that you don't need to do everything alone, and all of a sudden someone comes to help you, this is not magic. This is how brain works in tandem with the vibrational nature of reality. But it, hold on. but it seems like a magic, and we call it coincidence. Brain is an electrical output device, and there's energy running through all the time. We live in an electrical vibrational reality, and our thoughts are creating vibrations and coincidences. So we all have experiences in our lives that we think someone, we run into them in the grocery store, but we don't utilize this superpower we have enough. But we can now make a shift in the brain with a powerful new decision. And if we talk about in our church language, we call it when we do 5%, God does the 95%. So we don't need to do everything alone. When we make a new decision, God meets us halfway, more than halfway, really. And So where most people get stuck though, and this always happens, is that they think that they say that, how can I make new decision just like that? So how can I just make a new decision and I make more money? And how can I create just new business and be successful? But the reality is that you don't need to know how. In fact, how comes after you make a new decision. And this goes against human nature. But the moment we make a new decision, brain activates and starts seeing new opportunities. So our brain is a goal-achieving machine, and it operates off images. And if you allow yourself to imagine, you create an image. And this study is very powerful. So they made a study in Harvard 2009, where they brought piano players, and the piano players played piano, and researchers studied, they put these wires on their head and studied which parts of the brain lit up. Then they had the piano players imagining playing the piano, and what they found out that the identical parts of the brain lit up. So what we have learned is that brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. When you imagine or create an image of the outcome you want, your brain records it as it already happened. And it is in that brain change that starts to give you the how, the ideas, how to fulfill your goals. They all come from the willingness to make a decision, even if you don't know how. But if you think that you need to know how before you make a new decision, you won't spend any time creating an image. And I'm sharing this because this is the very important part of the transformations, and to understand exactly why you should be okay to make a new decision and how that unfolds an entire process that completely transforms your life. So whatever you decide structures your brain, and it becomes our perception of reality. And your opinions are the only limitation for you creating what you want in life. So I have here a few quotes of very famous people. The mind is everything. What you think, that you become. Buddha. A man is but product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. Mahatma Gandhi. And whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Henry Ford. And about Henry Ford, it is said that he imagined and he visualized everything. He visualized every screw of his car before he created it. So visualization is a very powerful mental technology we can use. Creating the life that you love is really about being clear of the destiny you want to create and aligning your decision with it. So too many people have no idea what they want, but know exactly what they don't want. So what is it that you want to create in life? Creating your relationships and creating your finances. When you know that, then you can make a decision that aligns with the outcome that you want to create. So the clarity is very important. What do you really want to create? The most important decision is your decision about life, about money, about yourself, about relationships, about health and business. Because your decision about life dictates the decision to do things. So for example, you can decide to make more money, but if you had decided underneath that money is hard to make, it is going to be almost impossible for you to make more money, because the brain is a goal-achieving machine, and it operates off the images, the decisions, because the decisions create images. So it doesn't matter what you decide to do if you haven't decided related to about you, about these important decisions about you. So what we need to do is when we identify a limiting belief that we now know is a decision, and that is not aligned with the future you are trying to create, and by nature doesn't feel good, we have the ability to respond, which we call it responsibility. And that is to make a new decision. And we can ourselves give a permission to make a new decision now that we know how we function as human beings and powerful creators. And we are using a very powerful tool. It's called Decision Matrix. I'm explaining it more on the next slide, but it's a very powerful tool and has 3 steps. If you do have a paper and note pen in front of you, so you can, do you all have one? So you can, I go into the next slide. So this is called Decision Matrix, and this is a very powerful tool. So on the, you divide the paper for 3 columns. On the left, you put the limiting belief. In the middle, you put new empowering decision. And then on the right column, you write existing evidence for the new belief. So the decision matrix has 3 steps. On the left, you identify the limiting belief. Here, it is important that you really go to the exact language that you hear yourself saying in your head. Often it is helpful to go to a moment or best specific instance and reconnect with the thinking that was happening at that time. Your limiting beliefs will own you until you own them. And the only way to own them is by seeing them as untrue. Notice it, see what it is, identify it, and realize that it is in conflict with the future that you want to create. So we were looking at the limiting belief sheets before. So here on the left, you can write the limiting belief first, and on the middle. So now you give yourself a permission to make a new empowering decision. And you will consciously construct a new reality by making a new decision. And the new decision is always some form of opposite of the limiting belief. So the limiting belief is like a child's language. You made that decision, this belief, maybe you were 4 or 5 years old. It's very simple. Like example, if it's that I'm not good enough. So the empowering new decision is just totally opposite. It's opposite, usually opposite of it, but it can be something different too. But let's say, so if it's a child's language, so it's like I am good enough. It's like a very simple, because the language we created as a child is very simple. So then you write on the middle, and you allow yourself just to write the opposite of the limiting belief. And when you've done that, then you go to the right column, and that is the very important part of this work. So then you ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this new decision I just made is true? This is a very important part. You can look your own life, or you can look life of others if you don't find it in your own life. Because if it's possible for other people, it's possible for you. So this part, I'm going to explain a little bit more on this last part here, and you can work on you can work on it. I'm going to the next slide to show you. It's the last slide, anyways, about this last part. So now, when you have made a new decision, and when you go out in your life, it is important you pay attention when the old limiting belief pops up. And when we remind ourselves of the new decision and the evidence we found, this is called neurosculpting, because this is literally shedding the old connections in your brain that represent the limiting belief and building new connections that represent the new empowering belief. And about the third part of this decision matrix, it is really important that you don't skip the part of finding evidence, because that's the piece that activates the part of the brain that is aligned with your new decision. and changes the way we think and perceive our lives. So otherwise, if we don't find evidence why, so you have to ask yourself why this new decision is true, and you have to find at least 3 reasons why it's true. Otherwise, it may feel like affirmation and incantation, and we all have tried those. But the brain change happens when you find the reason why this new decision is true. And then when you go, then you focus on the reality, the new reality you want to create. Because when if we give attention for the old belief, it's right away fires up again. Because the old limiting beliefs is so strong in us. And the new limiting beliefs are like a tiny little voice, this tiny little voice there. And because we are creating these new neural connections in our brain, and we start building it up, we're shedding the old limiting beliefs, and we're creating the new beliefs. And so we don't want to give any energy for the old belief. So when we don't do that, it starts dying off. So what was does not mean what is. But again, the minute you give attention or focus on the old belief, it fires again. So this work has to be done over and over again, day by day. And but if you do that, if you remind yourself, because you always remember, limiting belief does not feel good. So you realize what you're thinking. You remind yourself for the new empowering belief. And this is the path for sovereignty. This is the path for allowing yourself to be the greatest expression of who you are, to live in a place of self-love and compassion. And this methodology will work if we do the work. So this, when you make this new empowering decision every morning, every day, you read this loud, read it loud to declare to the universe. And then when you go by your day, and the old limiting beliefs start triggering up again, and then you remember, okay, that's what I used to believe, but now I have decided to believe that. And then you stack the evidence. You find more and more evidence in your life why this new decision is true. And again, you can look at other people's life. If you know somebody who makes tons of money, look at that person. If Bill Gates can make money, so can I. So it's the same thing. You can use other people for the evidence also. And I just wanted to show you a book, but it's a very powerful, very good reading about power of decision. I really enjoyed this book. Really explains step by step why decisions are such a powerful tool. And there's some few quotes on the last slide. I have few quotes of this from this book. And I'm using this a lot in my coaching because when I'm really digging in for the limiting beliefs and helping them to come to a new decision and helping them to find evidence and making the daily routine that they do this work every day and then keep on going from there on always. So it's been helping a lot of people. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing right now and thank you very much.